There are more than 10 million people in the Horn of Africa suffering from the effects of a severe drought and famine. Last night, the World Food Program made its first delivery of aid to Somalia since the UN declared a famine. But getting food and medical supplies to the victims has not been easy. The al-Qaeda-linked group Al-Shabaab is blocking foreign aid workers from entering parts of Somalia it controls. That means more than 2 million people are being cut off from the help they need. Right now, we are joined on the phone from Nairobi by Mindy Mizell. She is with the aid group World Vision. Mindy, thanks for being with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Your group is one of those that has not been allowed into Somalia. So what is being planned since you're not allowed in the area?
Yeah, this is something that's extremely discouraging to us. We were asked to leave nearly 2 years ago by Al-Shabaab, and this is something that we take very seriously, considering that we also, while wanting to meet the immediate needs of the people in Somalia, have to respect that safety is a major concern when trying to deploy staff into that area. So what we've been trying to do is to meet the needs in the areas that we can safely deploy staff. We are currently in Somalia working with refugees who have fled to the northern side of the country and doing what we can, providing emergency food and health care for those who end up in that area. Just this week, we're now even considering other areas along the border, in addition to Dadaab, where we can meet the needs of the refugees who are streaming over into Kenya and Ethiopia right away by delivering food and even water trucks.
Aside from the difficulties when it comes to logistics, are there enough resources available to help the victims?
You know, that's actually a major concern right now. We just had a report done this week that showed us that food, which is one of the major things that refugees need, is very scarce throughout the rest of Kenya, which makes it very difficult for relief agencies like World Vision to be able to get the food to be able to supply to refugees. So we're now having to tap into other areas of Africa just to see if we can find food and resources. The other concern is what little food there is around here is extremely expensive. We've seen food prices jump up to 150 to 300%. So that's a major concern.
Well, some refugees have actually made it out of Somalia and are in Kenya. Can you describe what their situation is like?
Yeah, it's a tense situation. And honestly, Dadaab, one of the largest refugee camps in the world, has been in existence for years. But we're seeing a major influx of refugees coming across the border. Right now, we're seeing about an average of 1,300 cross into Kenya, another 1,700 cross over into Ethiopia. But the other concern that really hasn't been talked about is that this is extremely strapping the resources for those who currently live in Kenya and Ethiopia. So right now, when we see thousands of people stream across the border on a regular basis, that means the food supplies for those who live in Kenya and Ethiopia are extremely strapped. And it's also making for tense situations. And as this drought and famine situation continues throughout the summer months, we're extremely concerned that the conflict could end up among the refugee camps increasing because of just the tense situation regarding food.
Yeah, it's a domino effect. So how are neighboring countries handling this influx of refugees?
Well, the situation is actually getting worse. I know you cited that about 10 to 11 million people right now are suffering or in need of assistance. But we're actually predicting that that number could grow to about 15 million by October, November. So we're seeing this famine-like situation definitely start to spread. And in the South Central areas where it's been officially declared, it's definitely bad. But where we're serving people and refugees who've streamed across the border up north, we're expecting that area to be declared famine fairly soon, just because of the high numbers of fatalities and malnutrition rates that we've seen in that area.
Mindy, it had to have taken some time for conditions to deteriorate to where they are now. So could help have actually started sooner?
Yes, and this is definitely one of the frustrations and misconceptions surrounding relief agencies. We've been sounding the alarm since even before February. Back in February, World Vision declared this a Cat 3 emergency response for our organization. We've been responding on the ground as a strategy, trying to make sure that people understood that this was going to be a problem. We could see the rainfall not coming and expect it to not arrive again in April. We knew this was going to be a problem, and yet this did not become a major story until we started to see large numbers of refugees streaming across the border. Even before February, before we declared this an emergency situation, we've been working with these communities for months, trying to make sure that they were prepared and ready. But when you're dealing a drought of this extreme proportion, then there's not a lot that you can do if it doesn't pick this story up until it's too late.
It is such a dire situation. Mindy Mizell from World Vision, thank you for your time, for your insight, and good luck to you.
Thank you.